Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing with another exciting show, basically giving you guys today's price action based on yesterday's relative strength index, at least intraday. Okay, so that's what we have to do. The relative strength index, the way I have mine set up is on a closing basis. So a lot of my intraday plays show up, but it's not until the following day where we can actually take advantage of it, especially for swing trades, right? So let's say that a stock is running up, the relative strength index doesn't officially close until the closing bell. And so that is what gives us an opportunity to take advantage of that the following morning. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go over a couple different stocks, some of them that were moving quite a bit higher, but most of them that I'm going to go over today were moving quite a bit lower yesterday. And I have a couple good setups for you guys going into this morning's session. So before we get going with all that, let's go ahead and say, first off, thank you guys so much for joining in with me. If you guys like what you guys see throughout this content, please make sure and like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notified 8:45 every morning the market is open. I really appreciate that for joining me. And then let's go ahead and just go into the RSI recap from yesterday. All right, so I had WDC on the radar. So this is what happened on on Monday. So you had this relative strength index that continued higher, but price action continued to creep higher and higher as well. No real pullbacks in the relative strength index, and there was no real sell-offs in the price action either in WDC. So I gave you an upside target right here at basically a pierce of $415. The price action indicated that it should continue to move up a little bit more. You have this huge upsloping trend line, the relative strength index on the daily time frame. Like all these different factors were indicating that there should be a pullback. However, the intraday on Monday said that we should get a pop first and then a pullback. And so it got up to 400 or 100 and basically $114. So it missed our entry price by just a fraction, just about $1 on $114 stock. So that's just under 1.5%. Unfortunately, we didn't get filled. I still like this. WDC at a pierce of $115 still looks like a great opportunity for a swing short, even a day trade. And so this is a stock that I would have to dollar cost average into. So if you guys aren't interested in dollar cost averaging, if WDC heads up to $115 and pierces that $115 level, and it closes above that level on a 15-minute closing basis, consider stopping out. Or if you want a dollar cost average, every dollar higher is what I would look to do. On a swing trade basis, I would go about a 2 to 3% of my portfolio, knowing how overextended the relative strength index is, and on the intraday and the daily time frame, and even the weekly. So I like WDC as far as a swing trade all around. iRobot is one that has been beaten up. I've got this beautiful chart pattern on the relative strength index. The RSI stayed really low on IRBT. So that indicated that there was there was a lot of selling pressure. IRBT was down almost 10% yesterday. Keep in mind, this is a speculative play. The market cap is $102 million. So it's a micro cap. However, it's got a great sell-off. So for me, this indicates that there should be additional selling pressure today. But if you go to the daily time frame, you've got this beautiful wedge pattern that IRBT is kind of setting up. And so what I'm looking at is this pierce of, or basically $3.40 for me would be a great entry. Not only do you have this gap fill, but you've also got this upsloping trend line that's kind of coinciding with that gap fill. So for me, on a long play, IRBT, and then what you would be looking for is a move above this downsloping trend line where price action, if it can get above that and confirm, then you're likely to head back up to $5.51. So overall, the chart of IRBT looks great. I wouldn't necessarily start a swing trade long now unless you're looking for like a long-term horizon on our IRBT. Then, if you want a dollar cost average, maybe start with a 1 or 2% of your portfolio and then add on the way down to be able to possibly take advantage of something like this. All right, another stock. So I did have a comment saying, hey, can you look at some long positions? And so that's why I'm kind of going over some long trades as well today. So again, IRBT is a great opportunity. Another one is AFRM. AFRM had gotten beaten up yesterday. So look at the intraday price action. So we did get a little bit of a pop after an initial sell-off. However, the price action continued a little bit lower on the chart of AFRM. And then the relative strength index never really confirmed above the 70. What I look for is what the price action is doing in correlation with the relative strength index. If we can get a pierce of the 70 and then it starts breaking some pivot highs, then the momentum had shifted in that particular stock. But unfortunately in AFRM, that didn't happen. And so I do anticipate a little bit more of a sell-off today. And so what I'm going to do is take a look at the daily time frame. Similar price action with IRBT, whereas you've got this upsloping trend line. So for me, this upsloping trend line would be a great support. And so for a long trade, I would be looking for right around $77 for an entry for a long. Now, on this wouldn't be necessarily a long-term play. This, I would be looking for about a 10% move on a swing trade basis. The nice thing about an upsloping trend line is any close below on a daily closing basis, you can just stop out of that trade to avoid any more potential downside. Because if an upsloping trend line breaks, there is potential for a continued fall, and then you could even come back down all the way to $62. AFRM is kind of like a meme stock sometimes, where you get some momentum either to the upside or the downside. But overall, $77 again would be a great entry for me. Baidu, I was mentioning the other day, had this great relative strength index push higher. Yesterday it finally kissed the 141.86 level that I had, and then a pullback. It's still a stronger stock, so I do anticipate it going back up to $141, especially if you guys have seen Alibaba today. Alibaba is up almost 10%. So it's a Chinese stock. And so Baidu is going to be pulled up with that. So I do anticipate it getting back up to $141.86. That would be another entry for a short play on Baidu for me. Now, if Baidu were to head lower, I would look to enter at a pierce of 115 for a long play. All right, Reddit. Reddit was another stock that was down on the day. Great relative strength index. So here's where price action started. It dropped on the morning session. The relative strength index was below the 30. RSI stayed pretty low. It did got above the 70, indicating that it's slightly overbought. Market price action didn't shift. There was no confirmation above any pivot levels. And so that then indicated that the price action should head lower. And that's what happened. And then all of a sudden at 130, you had this big sell-off and it continued float lower. So I anticipate it going down to about $230. And let me show you where I have that level. $230 is this beautiful gap fill on our DDT. You have not only this gap fill, but you have a pierce of this upsloping trend line. Normally, I would say a pierce of an upsloping trend line would kind of negate any potential bounce opportunities. However, $230 hit that level, could put it back inside of that upsloping trend line, or could put price action back inside of that upsloping trend line. And then that would favor a move to the upside. So another thing that I look at is where the relative strength index is at on the daily time frame. And as you notice, it's about close to the 50. On a stronger stock like this, you can actually play the 50 as if it's an oversold condition. And so for me, Reddit is in the oversold condition. And so that's why I still like that for a long. Teradyne was another one that I had mentioned the other day. 138.40 was a great opportunity for a potential short. And PWR, as I had mentioned, this thing had skyrocketed yesterday. It was up 14 or 15% off after my RSI trade of the day segment. And so that's looking pretty good. I would look to, now that it hit this top of this red bar candle, you could look for like possibly taking profits. It could get a nice fall today. Stocks like this that are micro caps can be extremely volatile, or put a trailing stop in, and then either wait for an upside move, or if it pulls back, you could re-enter that. So there's a couple different ways to play that, but ultimately I still like that move to the upside. Okay. Whew, that was a lot of information. So it is 8:55. So let's just go ahead and jump into the RSI trade of the day. All right, the RSI trade of the day is MCK. So McKesson Corporation, the relative strength index on the daily time frame is about to hit the 70. I do anticipate a move higher on MCK, not only on the daily time frame, but if you look at the intraday time frame, the relative strength index got up to the 70, never got below the 30, put in a nice bullish consolidation, pretty much from 1040 all the way till the closing bell. So for me, this indicates that the price action, or there should be continued buying pressure. So for me, the relative strength index trade of the day, if it gets up there to $290, $790, this would be a pretty substantial move on MCK. But based on the fact that it's taken out this high pivot, consolidated below it, taken it out, it still has potential to run. So again, $790 is my RSI trade of the day. I do anticipate it getting up to that level, if not today, probably by Friday, and I would still like that as an RSI trade of the day. So that's what I have for you guys. The last one I wanted to kind of show you guys for another swing trade, now that the RSI trade of the day is over, is KDP. If you guys don't know about KDP, it is paying a dividend. It's a dividend paying stock. Keurig Dr. Pepper, look at the relative strength index. You have this price action that continues to head lower, and basically a neutral relative strength index on the RSI, 21.72. That's pretty low on the relative strength index. As price continues lower, relative strength index isn't heading lower with it. So for me, this is a great swing trade opportunity with potential upside to head up to this gap fill right here, about $35. So if you were to get in right now, you could look for about a 32% move to the upside. So KDP looks like a great swing trade opportunity for me. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Again, please make sure that you're sharing this with your friends, and make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and stay tuned. Gareth Soloway is trading my trading game plan. It's actually his, so it's kind of a weird play on words. But anyways, he's going to be going live in less than 2 minutes, and we'll see you guys next time in the charts. You guys have a great day. Take care.